May we have a roll call, please?
Kathy Mitchell,
Here.
Lynn Larson,
Here.
Randy Neese, present. Hannah Daniels,
Here.
Richard
Here.
Crookeb.
Here.
Amy Lentz,
Here.
Sean Murphy is absent, and Paul Furnace. So we have a quorum.
Okay, will the secretary please read the minutes of the last meeting? I don't know if you really need to read them, we've all received them.
Yeah, so
Okay.
everybody should have gotten a copy, so.
Any corrections, additions to the minutes?
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay. If there are no corrections, the minutes stand approved.
We usually vote on it,
Well,
so.
we can vote.
So I'll make a motion to approve the
Awesome.
minutes from the September 2024 meeting.
I'll second that.
First and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they're approved. Our next item on the agenda is public comment, non-agenda items. Would you like, are you here to make comment?
We got you on the agenda, so we could wait till then. We
It's a Kate,
yes,
Rob,
this is
okay.
Kate, everybody.
okay, so there is no public comment, non-agenda items.
I mean, I guess I'll just say for the people who are not involved in the interviews, we did have interviews, and Kathy, Randy, and Hannah were all reinstated for 2 more years. So thank you all for coming for 2 more years.
How do we proceed with filling the vacancy?
I need to check in with Christian, see if we got any applications in the meantime, and I don't know, just keep telling anybody who seems interested. We'll just keep trying to get the word out there. We might just have to do a impromptu out of nowhere interview if we get an applicant.
Okay.
I don't know,
I
hopefully
know
if we
the letter that comes with the utility bill will mention vacancies,
I think so.
so
Yeah.
that would be good, if we could do that.
So
It'd be good to fill the board.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, if you know anybody who knows, we're definitely gonna
Check.
yeah, we'll push hard with
Yes.
Stephanie getting it on all of our forestry posts, all that stuff, maybe just a
Yeah, every-
tagline.
All the members of the board should reach out to anyone they think that would be,
Mhm.
really good.
Yep.
And useful to be on the board. Please do that. Okay. Discussion items. Appoint a new committee chair, vice chair, and secretary. Okay. So do we have any I'm inviting nominations from the floor for chair.
I nominate Kathy Mitchell for chair, if she's willing to serve another term.
Unless there's someone else who's just dying to chair.
I would second that.
Kathy Mitchell's been first and seconded. Are there any other nominations? Nominations are closed. We'll vote on Kathy Mitchell for committee chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, vice chair. Do we have any nominations from the floor for vice chair?
I nominate Hannah Daniels for vice chair.
Is there a second?
I nominate Richard for vice chair.
Oh, wait a minute, can we finish with Hannah?
Oh, sorry, I
That's okay,
I thought
that's okay, we have
realize how
time.
that works.
Is there a second for Hannah?
I'll second that.
Okay, so first and seconded for Hannah. Are there other nominations from the floor?
I would like to nominate Richard as vice chair.
Is there a second?
I don't know if I can second one and
Sure-
nominate the other.
Sure you can.
Okay, I'll second.
It's been,
Uh-oh.
first and seconded to
Sure.
nominate
Yeah, now you get it.
Richard Kirkcap for vice chair. All those in favor of Hannah for vice chair?
Aye.
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 3. All those in favor of Richard? 1.
Or run away.
Hannah has vice chair. Secretary, I'm inviting nominations from the floor for secretary.
I nominate Randy Neese to serve a 3rd term.
Second, any second for that?
I'd second that.
It's been first and seconded for Randy Neese to be secretary. Are there any other nominations? Since there are no nominations and Randy Neese is the only nominated, he will be secretary. Okay, so we're done with that one. possible new meeting times discussion.
Okay, so yeah, no, we didn't have much of a switch up in our roster here, but I know it's been discussions about possibly changing the meeting time. We talked with Christian about any other times that this room is open. I think it's really just up to us when we wanna meet. I don't think it has to be the third Monday of each month. So he gave us the first Monday, let me open up well, it's, every month is different, but whatever. The first Monday of each month, the second Wednesday, third Wednesday, first Thursday, or third Thursday. So we could do Mondays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays. He said to avoid Tuesdays, seeing as how the board meets on Tuesdays, and they might, they can have like work sessions every other Thursday too. So Thursdays are kind of booked up. So if
Okay, you said first Monday, the second and third Wednesdays, and,
first or third Thursday.
okay, so that's off, yeah, okay.
I have conflicts with the Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Monday is really good.
I
Yeah,
would
I
propose
would prefer
first of
Monday.
all that we see if we can't just move the meeting to 6 o'clock.
Yeah, if you guys just want to move the times too, that's also
So
good.
is there a motion to change our meeting time from 5 to 6 o'clock?
I would make that motion to move the meeting time to 6 PM on the third Monday of each month.
Third.
Yeah, that still works for me.
Is there a reason we don't wanna do 5:30?
I think it's really hard for Amy to get here.
I was gonna say that was
She's
my
coming from
plan.
Okay,
college,
so-
and she has a meeting that just ends right at,
Okay, I thought when we talked last, she had said that could work for her.
what do you think, Lynn?
I'm here.
What do you
I'm
think?
here. I could do 5:30 or 6. Either would be helpful. So
Either one works for me. I
either way.
know Paul's here.
That's
Ki-
true. I'm
kinda
staying
waiting.
in.
Yeah,
It does
that's
not
true.
matter to
We
me.
have a
don't
motion
worry.
on the floor to move our meeting time from 5 to 6 on the third Monday. Is there a second? If not, it can die. Is there another motion for a meeting change?
I would propose 5:30 Mondays.
First or third?
I'll second that.
That would be the first Monday then.
Well, we could keep our same,
Yeah, third
Yeah.
Monday, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Mondays still work well for me.
Third Monday.
Third Monday.
Yeah, third Mondays, yeah.
Is everything the same, change till
There's
5:30?
It's been moved and seconded to move our meeting time to 5:30 on the third Monday, correct? Is that reflective of our discussion? Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we did it. 5:30, third Monday.
So Amy, are you driving right now or are you stopped by the side of the road?
I'm stopped here in Loveland. I almost
Yeah.
about another 15 minutes.
You should
I
make
could
it
have
back.
made it.
Okay.
Okay. Our next discussion item is goals for the committee in 2025. Is there any public comment? No public comment. Is there discussion from the board?
Yeah, I put this on here. I thought it was a great time since we kind of refreshed some of our term limits, and we know, at least we got until next year till other people's terms come up. So we've got about a year ahead of us to look forward to what we want to do. Definitely when Kathy and I went before the board for our annual report, we were talking about getting a little more serious. And I've definitely heard it from everybody that, maybe getting some objectives, maybe above and beyond what we're already working on would be good and give us focus. Definitely Hannah brought in some really interesting, different towns board, or tree board, and a very thorough plan for them. So it depends on how in-depth we wanna get. I mean, this looks forward like,
sorry.
well,
It's
yeah,
just a sample, like,
this is really well done.
it seems like they have overarching goals, like public outreach, educate, which I feel like we could create, and then they create individual goals underneath. those kind of core goals.
Sorry, let's see, here we go. I did wanna bring this back up, sorry, it's.
Good, that's what I was just
weird.
looking at too. Yeah.
Yep. So this is something we developed, that. Sorry.
This mentions quarterly newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Do we put anything? Do we have a quarter? Is there a quarterly newsletter?
I think it would be just part of maybe the newsletter that already goes out.
And do we add to that occasionally?
We can, we have the option to, that's something Stephanie works on. And I think we've definitely gotten things in the past. So depending on if we want to branch off and make our own, or just, keep tagging along the one that already goes out in the utility bills, I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think it'd be better to try to, but we could stick to maybe, I'd have to ask Stephanie about this, but for sure getting something in, I know it's kind of, quite a tight newsletter, there's a lot to fit in there and a lot of people trying to get on it, but I wonder if we could definitely get, 4 or 3 or 4 mentions about, anything tree related. Again, the ones I think we're hitting really well, social media and public events, we're definitely hitting those really well. I think with our calendar will be a start for print and email. It'll definitely be getting our name out there on calendars, only about 500, but they'll still be in all those households. Sorry.
I didn't know about the yard sign with the QR code to the forestry page. Have you followed up on that?
Sorry, what was that?
The yard signs with the QR code to the forestry webpage.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that when the year this was developed. Just another way to start directing people to the forestry page. And I mean, now with we're going to add that QR code to each page on the calendar for monthly tree care
That's
tips.
right.
That would probably be a better
That's
QR
no,
code to use.
That's fine.
Like, instead of
That
just
fits it out.
taking them to the forestry page and they're like, okay, what am I supposed to look at? Maybe that would be a more directed QR code.
Other thoughts on that? Is that, maybe we don't need the yard signs if we're gonna get it on the calendar.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And plus, I don't know if there's any difficulty, like, where are these gonna go, any, complications with putting them in HOA right-of-ways and stuff like that, if the HOA has rules. So that, it might just be simpler on the calendar.
Yeah, I like that.
Possibly when you have your trucks out, especially bucket truck, that kind of thing, doing some work, you could have the sign down there, because I think people definitely notice when you're doing that.
Mhm.
Might draw their attention to it.
And it sounds like this is a communications focused, where that would probably be one element of our goals, where we could adapt this or expand. Cause there will also be like education and, but it looks like this was primarily focused on like communication ideas, is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yes. But you can kind of branch out.
Oh,
from
yeah,
that.
no, it definitely overlaps with.
Yeah, well, looking at what you just passed out, this would be one of those gray areas.
Yeah.
I'm calling it the gray area, not because
Yeah,
it's
I know what you
uncertain,
mean.
but it's the line that's grayed. And then, so this would practically all fit under that first one on here, so we'd have to be looking further down for something, the activities. Although the public events one, that can both an activity and a communication system, because we used it for communication. So, well, especially Arbor Day tree planting.
Mm-hmm. would say Arbor Day, our Berthoud Day, Oktoberfest, and Kathy, you did a tree walk, and I think,
I did,
I don't know if Amy did one this year, but I would,
not here, I don't think.
yeah, I don't think it was, she did one last year in Berthoud.
Yeah.
But,
I did a class at the library this year.
That's right, I knew you
Okay.
did something, right. Yeah, we can partner with the library to do any kind of educational class.
mhm.
They would love that,
Mhm.
that's fine.
I might suggest breaking this kind of project down in pieces, like first identifying what our gray areas are, and then kind of having a more focused, like needs assessment type approach to like what, like there'll be things that are on here every year, like the Arbor Day event and things like that, but also like what are the kind of needs, like core priorities, because there's a lot of stuff we could put on here, like there's a lot of stuff on this communication plan, but that might not be an immediate priority necessarily. So I'm just wondering if we kind of reverse engineer this project to be like, what are our overarching goals? What are the needs? What are the priorities? And then what do we want to see happen in the coming year?
Say, so where do you wanna start on all that?
I think maybe figuring out what the overarching goals are, which might not be something that we tackle today necessarily, but I think a lot of them are gonna overlap with what we probably want, meaning like public outreach and education, like a lot of them are probably really similar. But I don't know, Paul, what do you think?
The public outreach is something that, I'm only one person for this whole town, and that would definitely help for me. I really do like sticking with the communication, but that only goes as far as people wanna actually listen or look into what we're trying to tell them. So I think public outreach would be good. If there's any like new events or just events we could like keep adding to, again,
Do we participate in the birthday parade?
no, I don't think
Good.
so.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about it.
Okay, I wasn't
for
in
a
on that
couple years
discussion
now.
apparently, okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was a birthday parade or a Christmas parade, but I
Yeah.
remember we talked about parades.
Yeah. The public outreach, really, I have a pretty good idea, where we could, still be adding trees in our town, but if you guys see other spots or, would like to see trees in specific areas, obviously on like public property, and bring those to me. I think definitely with like the backing of the tree committee, we could definitely push
Okay.
to add more trees here and there.
Or what if we had in some of our communications, say, is there, just in general to the town population, is there a place where you see a need for a tree in a public spot?
Mhm.
And just see if we can engender some communication back to the
Yeah.
public.
so some ideas of like overarching goals could be, one, maintain our Tree City USA, and continue to develop that. That could be like one, public outreach, education, I like the one that they have on here about engage the mayor and council regarding opportunities and threats. I think this is where we could help advocate with you for like, what is it, the beetle,
Emerald Ash Board?
Emerald Ash, yeah, or like, what's coming in the future, or kind of like what Amy was talking about at the last meeting of like the landscape changing. So, I think we could get into really nitty gritty ideas, but I think we're gonna continue spinning our wheels if we don't kind of start with overarching and then prioritize below that.
Yeah. Definitely back to the Tree City USA thing, the, again, the growth awards, maybe we could, take a look at those early in the year and,
Like next month.
yeah. Well, there might not be enough time to make up or get something in before, there is, but, some of these are kind of large projects
Okay.
to do, but definitely if we started that in January.
Okay.
And again, if you guys looked into something you'd like to see in our community and something that's definitely very plausible, I'd love to take that up. Yeah.
The interim trees on Fickle Park, there are the big trees that will age out eventually, and then there's intermediate trees. Is that meant to be everywhere or just in Fickle Park?
Well, it was probably in Fickle Park because we have control over that. Yeah, it was a understory planting, and yeah, the hope is that people are understory planting because emerald ash beetle or not, a lot of our ash trees in Old Town are aging out, and people need to start thinking about that. But we can only suggest so hard that people should plant another tree and think about the next generation of our urban forest rather than just maintaining the one they have. So that is kind of a program that's it's been talked about. I think the last forester was kind of pushing for that, but we got no. It really didn't end up anywhere. But yeah, that would be an interesting program to start and get moving.
Because it might not look the same in about 50 years if we don't do something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I propose maybe a starting point for us with kind of goal setting and like starting small?
Mhm.
So like public outreach education given and ties into communications. Maintain and further develop our Tree City USA involvement. And then support and engage the town forester when it comes to opportunities and threats when it, trees, related to trees.
So just those three?
Or
Those
four.
Four, I'm sorry.
Unless anyone else has something they want to propose
That
as.
covers most of the things
Yeah,
that was
and then-
covered in the report.
Yeah, and then we could kind of fill things in under there, basically starting small, it could develop, obviously. Amy, do you have any thoughts? Not to put you on the spot.
No, I think all of this sounds really great. I like that we're coming up with the bigger goals first. And so I might have missed all four, but it was outreach, the threats and weaknesses. What were the other ones?
Tree City, maintain the Tree City status,
Involvement.
and then education?
Yeah, public outreach and education, Tree City USA, opportunities and threats. I think I said 4, but.
I think the other one was support the town forester, maybe? Okay. Yeah, I like all those. I think they're good. Yeah, for sure.
Should we add a communication plan as a fourth one, or is that kind of under
That's,
public outreach?
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I
Public
think that
outreach.
would.
And I think so, engage and support both the town board and the forester, with threats, opportunities, problems. So we can kind of combine that in one, because both things will happen at the same time.
Yeah.
So those 4 are pretty good.
Well, is it 3? Sorry, I think I wrote.
Tree City, public outreach and communications, education, and engage the town board and forester with threats, problems, and opportunities. So that's 4.
Okay.
Yeah, on
Is that-
education under public outreach, but that makes sense. It's
Yeah,
good.
that
is
makes
that
more
okay?
sense.
Makes sense to me.
Oh, I've got public outreach separately from education.
Yeah, and maybe that makes sense. Or they could be combined.
It's not,
Okay.
because I feel like they're almost 2 things.
And
That's my opinion.
in how I've been looking at what we did this year of small steps, maybe instead of creating a whole new objective, maybe we just focus on what we're already doing
Yeah.
and try to make it a little, add a little more to it this
Yeah.
year. So definitely with the education, like maybe we could involve bringing like somebody into the schools, or if you guys want to kind of start that conversation with the schools in March, April, for those talks or anything like that, kind of enhancing or at least helping me out with that. The growth awards, like I think that would be great. The Tree City, like just the normal re-upping our Tree City stuff, that's pretty easy. It's
It's if we wanna do anything in addition.
yeah, anything above and beyond, I think that would be pretty helpful to get some input on that, cause there are so many and they're all very cool and unique.
Well, and it's a core part of just having a tree board, so that's why I thought maybe it would make sense. And I agree, I don't think, I don't see this as a time where we're thinking of new things. I definitely think we should find the things that we think we should be doing and do them well before adding anything new. But I do think we need to prioritize though, because there's so much that we can be doing, and when other ideas are brought up, it would be nice to have something to almost measure against before we spin our wheels or spend time on something, just to like keep us moving forward.
Mhm.
I think that would help me personally
Mhm.
with giving ideas.
Speaking of helping you, have you and Richard ever received this chart that we've got on the, have you ever seen that before?
I think I have.
Was it
It is.
part of the presentation in August?
Yeah, but we developed it, I think,
A
2
couple of years ago,
Prior to
Amy
that,
was,
before I
Amy
got
was really pushing this one, and she was instrumental, that's the word, she was instrumental in pulling this all together. Maybe, since, well, they're not new anymore, but maybe you could just send, that piece out to everybody on the board.
Mhm.
And then whenever we get a new person, we can just try to remember to do that.
It was our start of setting goals.
Yeah.
At least in communications.
Right.
2 years ago, I think. And as for goals, I think most of the stuff I'm proposing definitely has like deadlines. So just focusing on each one as they are approaching, and maybe I could be a little more timely with starting that the month, like the meeting before the month it's like
That would
about
be
to
good.
happen.
Or if you could just give us a calendar,
Mhm.
since you know their time, there's a time focus.
Following their chart, there's a target date for each of these.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we could,
Yeah.
yeah, just a calendar would be great.
I mean, yeah, like for instance, the growth awards, it'd be nice to, have some goals set on which ones we're interested in as a community by February. And then by the end of February, we're talking about Arbor Day. And then Arbor Day is gonna, pass in April, and then it's not really something huge to plan for, but, maybe expanding on our Berthoud Day and Oktoberfest booths and just making them just a little bit better. And then,
We already, your team in the forestry department and we've already talked about something that we need.
yeah,
Maybe they've
I'm
talked to you about
bringing
that.
that up in new business.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I like that idea though, if you can shoot us, nothing fancy, but just here's kind of a schedule of,
Mhm.
this is the time periods when we need to focus on A, B, and C.
Yeah,
And then that way we know too.
yeah.
and we're ready to sort of think about it.
Yeah, and almost have like an annual calendar, because I know
Yeah.
eventually Sean did mention that he would like this committee to focus on the arboretum.
Mhm.
So we need to have some infrastructure so that we can,
We can go back,
and
have
we
some
can
time
add
for that.
new things, but just keep up with, I agree, we need to do the things we need to do, like the maintenance things well, as part of being on the board, not tree maintenance, but.
Yeah, I like
Can I
that.
add, can I add a suggestion while are we still in the discussion portion of this?
Oh, yeah.
Could we add, maybe one of our goals is, instead of, like, I like the outreach and education part, so what if we talked more, or had a goal that was, community engagement or community beautification, or something to where we're focused more on not just education, but like actually some of these things that Hannah's talking about.
Such as,
Like enrichment or, sorry.
More of getting involved with the upcoming arboretum, things like that, that are more about plans for the community, not so much education based, right?
oh,
I guess I think of education and outreach as more teaching teaching
Sort of like
classes or sending
community
out
planning.
educational code.
Or like,
Kind of what's in this 5-point communication plan, but what's missing is that component where we're actively engaging with the community, maybe through service instead of education.
what about like community initiatives or?
Or, yeah, or community
It's almost like a
service
strategic
would
planning
be-
thing too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I throw that out there while we're still talking. The plan in front of me makes me think of the outreach education part of it. But there's a few things missing.
What about community development, Amy? Is that?
Yeah, something about like that we're involved in, helping guide the future of this town. It's not so much just education based.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be really important, in the coming, as they're wanting to develop the town more.
Yeah.
Like the Mountain Avenue overlay plan and the First Street overlay plan, and where does the tree committee fit into those?
Yeah, and
Right.
I think a lot of that would probably happen in the planning commission meetings. Or at least like, those are also just committee meetings and, if somebody just attended those or as many as they could, just to kind
That's a
of,
good idea.
add a little, somebody there to speak for trees and tree selection and, anything like that, that'd be good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
more
that.
like collaboration, is gonna be important. But I do, like
Right.
with the Arboretum, they did come, to us and wanna partner with us to try to put some of those plans together, and so I think that would also be a great thing where, we're not just attending and commenting, but, being able to kind of prepare pieces and partner with them more. Kinda like the port committee did with the Arboretum, or was that port committee?
Yeah, boards
Okay.
and tree committee, yeah.
As for, yes,
Another example I can think of are like when we planted the tree on Arbor Day too, like that was more of a community beautification and development service that we did, as well as education, but yeah, stuff like that, or if we did like a cleanup somewhere where we, did something of service to show that we're
Yeah, I love
engaging
that.
with the community.
I mean, I'd have to ask about this, but like, why only plant a tree on Arbor Day? We could do like a monthly plant a tree with the tree advisory committee,
Yeah.
and
Coffee with the chief.
yeah, exactly, like
Coffee with
Yeah.
a tree.
Arbor Day is very, kind of limiting in that it's one day and it's like, it was really great this year where the community got to engage with the advisory committee, but, not everybody
Well,
that works for them.
And I see these trees kind of pop up and I said, I didn't know they were gonna put a tree there.
Yeah.
And, I kinda like to know, yeah, we're gonna be at so-and-so planting a tree. And if you wanna come watch,
Yeah.
watch us plant the tree and,
And-
be involved.
It would probably land on a
Tree
weekend.
geeks like myself.
Yeah.
See?
Probably land on a weekend, like a Saturday, like
Yeah.
one Saturday a month in the summer, and it's just, we could also put that out in the newsletter, like
That's
come,
what I'm thinking, yeah,
come
publicize it.
or on our social media, just like come plant a tree with the. I think that would be pretty cool, actually.
I do too. Easy, and you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not extra work.
Exactly, and we could kind of save the good spots for those events. I like that. That'd be cool. And
I do.
That's a great idea.
we could have all of our handouts and
Yeah, exactly.
really tell everybody about it, and yeah, I like that idea.
I'd be happy to help you out with the handing out stuff and stuff. You guys can plant the tree.
Bring the shovels.
Any other, great idea. Thank you for your comments,
I
Amy.
think Richard has a comment.
What you got?
No, part of what he said, I was thinking on the communications to somehow in the online or social media, kind of highlight a tree per month.
Mhm.
Just give some education on it. I don't know how many people would engage in that, but it might, we met more than one person at the booth wanting to know about trees and what to plant and that type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot
So
of
they
them.
may find that information there or get that to guide them to the, to your department to find out more about it.
Mm.
And then same with planting these trees once a month, kind of highlight the tree that you're planting every month.
Mhm.
That may be hard to procure those, I don't know, but,
Kind of makes
Yeah.
me think of the tree walk that
yeah,
your
same kind of thing.
Forster did.
Mhm.
You know, because I think that's there's a lot of opportunity there with kind of what you were saying.
And that got really great engagement.
Yeah, I wish I knew about it.
Yeah, if you guys are like, if, you know, every one of those walks, like,
Yeah.
we all,
Yeah,
you know,
where was that
moseyed around the
advertised?
park and then ended at the tree planting spot. It was
Yeah.
like, okay, everybody, like,
Yeah,
grab
get
a
some
shot.
coffee.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty easy too, so, um,
Another one,
Mhm.
excuse me,
No, I was
I
gonna
had, I
ask
know
one more.
that,
Yeah.
and they had on here were the action items. I know Randy's come up with these a few times, but more specific things that we bring up at one meeting to be researched or whatever it takes
Yeah.
to have ready at the next meeting or a certain date in the future. You know, not to pile on work on everybody, but just things that might take it off of your plate or, you know, just like with the Tree City, the growth awards. You know, it's a couple of us who come back and say, yeah, I think we can do this, this, and this, and this,
Mhm.
and move forward with those rather than have it kind of float and not be done.
Yeah, and I think if we know like the meeting before what's coming, like I think that'll give us, you know, time to like look into things and be able to like contribute more.
Um, yeah, I'll admit something to you guys. I kind of only think about what we're gonna talk about maybe a week or two
And
before
that's
the
fair.
meeting.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So like, yeah, even if
This process is forcing you to do more than that, sorry.
no, it's fine. But no, if we kind of ended each meeting with like, what do we all wanna talk about next meeting? Cause sometimes I'm at a loss with like what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
That's why some of them are a little dry and very procedural and, you know, we're in and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's something like we wanna look into and maybe we can assign somebody to, you know, look into it a little further, come back with their thoughts. And then that would definitely make it easier to write next meeting's agenda.
Yeah.
And if we kind of have an annual calendar, like we've been talking about too, I think that'll naturally like populate that, and then obviously there's still room for,
Adding stuff.
yeah, as you know, because things are gonna come up, like this will be a kind of dynamic process.
Mhm.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Anything else?
I like the anything we could do to, you know, community beautification, anything like that. If you guys think of anything else, I'll definitely ask on my end if that'd be something possible. And then I don't know, Randy, like for I wonder if it wasn't just parks, if it could be like, you know, HOA specific. Like, do you think something like that would fly in your HOA, or would that have to go through a lot of like the HOA boards or anything like that? Because we'd run out of spots if we were, you know, we would be scraping the bottom of the barrel for planting spots eventually. But I mean, you know, what if we replanted a tree in like an HOA or something? Just one that needs to be replanted or added.
I think they would accept that, but just to share with you, one activity that I've done this past month is I contacted the manager for Vantage, and he expressed zero interest in having us participate with them in trying to identify problems or to share any of our information.
Mhm.
So he said, we've got all that contracted. Thanks for your interest. Goodbye.
Mhm.
Wow, okay.
So I tried to explain to him in the email who I was, what we were trying to accomplish. We were interested in keeping the Berthoud Parkway lane well established, and yeah, he just didn't feel like he wanted to engage. So
Mhm.
I don't want that to be a discouragement for anyone else to try that same effort, but
Yeah.
I know for Heritage Ridge, we wouldn't mind if somebody came and attended our board meetings. They're pretty much open to the public, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's just a matter of finding out when they are.
I mean, that could be another goal, and I really have no idea where to start, but that's always been, since we have talked about this communication plan, is how do we outreach to HOAs as a whole and engage with these neighborhoods, where they seem like they're lacking with the, the tree information.
1,000%. I think educate them, and if you can actually get the residents to
Mhm.
learn more about what's done, they may be able to work with their board to
Mhm.
get more of that. Now, didn't Lynn, weren't you part of collecting
it.
that
That was
information
it.
at one point?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was that big
he's-
thing, Randy and I and, what was her name?
Linda,
Linda. Yeah, we put together that big spreadsheet.
Mhm.
But, and I've sort of consolidated down because so many of the HOAs have the same management company
Oh.
and the metro districts, but, it's sitting there, it hasn't gone anywhere right now.
Yeah, and I would like to put that to use. I mean,
Mhm.
it's great and it's pretty filled out. And like where we got into like kind of the nitty gritty, like little tiny
Well, yeah, like in Old
street-
Town, I had
Yeah.
it broken down for Old Town, there's no HOAs, who do you go talk to? And I think I brought this up before, I thought this Berthoud neighborhood thing on the internet was going to be
Oh.
something that would work, and I tell you, it's not working for me. So, I mean, I don't need to know about somebody breaking into a car down in Boulder,
Yeah.
That doesn't help me with the tree committee in Berthoud, so.
But maybe we don't have to focus on, especially the small ones. Like I don't want to say we can overlook them, but
No.
we definitely have much larger communities
Yeah.
and HOAs in our which have a lot of new trees, and those are the ones particularly we see trees and new plantings struggling, and probably a lot of first-time homeowners and tree owners and the people that really need that outreach.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
people in Old Town,
They got the old trees.
yeah, they got the old trees.
They're the ones that need to do the new plantings for understory.
Yeah, they've got other, probably
Issues.
questions, but I feel like we could almost just section it out like 4 or 5 major
start small.
HOAs
Right.
and just
Yeah.
find a way to reach out to them and work with them on, maybe we could do HOAs send out like a periodical, like a HOA specific newsletter or door
We-
hang or?
well, for Heritage Ridge, we've got a website that gets updated periodically.
Mhm.
I think there is an opportunity though, because I get the sense from like Heritage Ridge of a lot of misunderstandings when it comes to like the street tree requirements that may come with some feelings. And so I think just educating people on not only like the background, but the rules and offer a solution to them.
Well, that's where I came up with the idea for the yard signs, when we first put this on that number 2 wedge, was to maybe put it by our mailboxes so that they stop to get their mail, they see a QR code, they scan it real quick, they take it home, and then at least they're introduced to the forestry webpage through that means. But yeah, just getting to the people is kind of the hard part.
Would you say though that your HOA would be amenable to somebody coming in and presenting to them?
Yeah, as long as we got it on their agenda in
In
enough time.
Right. It
Or a
doesn't have
tree
to be
walk.
real,
Like a Heritage Ridge tree walk or something like that.
Yeah.
Like something, I feel like there is an opportunity where we could pick a few neighborhoods and then work with their board to what's the need, so that we can actually make it like worthwhile and good, mutually beneficial. I don't know, what do you all think about that?
Takes a leader, somebody to lead the group through that, so.
if you could keep the presentation fairly simple, just
Yeah.
maybe explain the Berthoud tree lawn, the tree policy. So the HOAs are clear because like you said, that's where all the new trees are. And then basic maintenance to trees. Again, you don't want to get into the weeds on it and everything, but just winter watering, tree wrapping, you know, watering during drought, hot periods of the summer,
Mhm.
staking.
Mhm.
It's kind of the basics of what you were kind of doing at Arbor Day, I
Yeah.
think.
Big,
And
big thing that would help me too is tree clearances above sidewalks and roads
Yeah.
too.
another one,
That's
yeah.
a big one.
Yeah, and
Helps me finally-
you know, and that's great information coming from you because you're the one who deals with these things.
Mhm.
But just to give them at least a one-time thing,
Mhm.
and then if they have more questions, they know where to go to get those answered. But
Mhm.
I know in our HOA that I think there's people who have those trees and don't really have any idea that they're responsible or how to care for them, really.
Mhm. Or even, again, this was from talking with somebody in Vantage when we were doing just a warranty walkthrough. But you know, their HOA only allows certain trees. They have like taken our accepted tree list and narrowed it down
Yeah.
even further so that, you know, it fits their neighborhood aesthetic. And just double checking that their acceptable tree list still doesn't have anything like autumn blaze maples or you know, just because they were planted with the development, people might assume that, oh, you know, or the HOA might assume that it's still a good variety to plant when maybe they haven't, you know, looked at our prohibited street tree list in a while, and we have updated it. And I still deal with a lot of questions about autumn blaze maples. Like, it is my most talked about tree. So, yeah, just double checking that they're also giving the right information to their you know, their residents would be big.
What if we plan for like the spring to like identify a couple HOAs? We could reach out to them.
To do some public content.
Yeah,
contact.
and approach it like, what do you think the needs are? You know, and then we could really like float in, you know, the clearance and things like that. But like first, like approaching it more as like an outreach or a service. Like we want to be helpful. Like what do you
Mhm.
consider your core needs? Whether it's trees dying or you know, I don't know, but maybe maybe this is how we can make this happen is like, okay, we'll do this in the spring and then kind of reverse engineer how we, you know, like in March, we'll identify the HOAs. I'm just throwing ideas out here. Anyone else chime in? Just an idea. If we want to do this, is this a priority? Is it not? You know, I guess that's my question.
I would say it's just how do we effectively do it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
I think it's one thing to go into their board meetings, and I don't know how many people show up to a periodical.
Handful.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 450 some properties in ours, and we might get 8 or 9
Mhm.
people show
Yeah.
up.
So if it'd be one thing to go to their board meeting and maybe preach to people who already are pretty well up on their HOAs, you know, everything, seeing as how they're attending the board meetings, but more maybe just asking if there's something they can pass out regarding trees to their, you know,
Yeah.
pass it out in a periodical or something. Just having a more effective approach rather than, yeah, maybe just talking in front of 5 people and
Yeah, that's a good point.
or maybe even just directing it towards you know, their board or whatever, and saying, you know, if you guys would like to include this in some periodical on tree care, you know, just or it's just a link back to the forestry page, just include
Yeah.
this so that people can find the information about their trees.
It's probably more important to get to the management companies because they have that direct line of communication. Like ours, everybody has to pay the pool fee. And so they've got it set up to where they're trying to communicate by email with every household that's in the subdivision. So we see periodically that they'll send out a broad email just saying, you know, the pool is closed and they're hoping that 95% of the people get it. But those types of announcements are probably more effective through them than it is the actual board.
Mm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And those are the companies that Lynn was referring to that You know, it seems like a lot of these people, there's only so many of those companies out there, and they tend to gravitate towards the successful ones, so.
So maybe it'd be just double checking some of those, at least, again, not all of them, but like, we could do like Hammond, Vantage, Heritage Ridge. What's the one near Pioneer, Mary's Farm, or Fickle Farms?
Fickle Farms, yeah.
You know, just the big ones where we would encapsulate really a good portion of, you know, new homes being built, and kind of, you know, maybe show them where to reach out for information, and hopefully just hit them with some really quick, like, not overload them. That's one thing I'm learning from Stephanie, is you don't wanna just like, just blast them with information, they're gonna tune out. But, you know, tell them if they're looking for information, here's where you can find it. And then just remember, like, you know, these 3 points, like, water your tree, trim your tree, and like, that tree is yours, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the 3 big ones.
No, Randy's, I think, right in the way too, that we get periodic notifications that come through the management company.
Mhm.
And I don't know if those come down from the board or if they're kind of part of what they do, but on ours, I'm pretty sure they get to everybody, at least whatever their email addresses are.
Mhm.
Take it from there.
Nothing like, mail, like everybody gets something in their mail slot or anything, nothing quite like that.
Actual mailing is too expensive, especially with the rate of stamps now.
Mhm.
I mean, to mail out to 450, it's almost $1 a stamp, so,
Mhm.
you know, you're spending almost $500 each time you just mail a postcard or something.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous, so, yeah, I think that's why email is probably the most successful way to get that word out to everyone.
Mhm.
Or, you know, if they could target who actually has street trees on their property.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously it wouldn't pertain to everybody, but
Oh, I think almost everyone should have street trees in front of their homes.
yeah,
In a
in our
new
neighborhood.
development.
Mhm.
Oh, you don't?
No, we don't.
Oh.
Ours is only
Interesting.
along 10th Street and the other one going east-west there are the
Spartan.
main
Rose
ones.
Farm.
Yeah, those.
Mhm.
Well, I think
And
this
that's
is
kinda
really
good.
beneficial conversation, because I think we brought up an idea and then we were like, let's scale this back to what we can actually realistically do. So like, I'd like to scratch the idea of visiting the HOAs, because I don't think that is a good idea for like an immediate of what we can do. That was my idea, I guess, so I'm scratching my own idea. And then to do something like a mailing or like an email or something like that instead, as Paul suggested. Is that fair? Is everyone on the same page?
That would be better.
Yeah.
Come up with like an information sheet or something. to
Mhm.
send out.
Okay. Anything else about goals? That was a good discussion, I think. So are we ready to move on our agenda?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
got plenty written down for that, so.
Good.
You
Kate,
can get
you're
more
up.
from Randy's notes.
Sure, right
Yeah.
there's fine. And we'd just like to know your name and address.
Okay, my name is Kate Broughton. I'm at 748 Mountain Avenue in the Grey House. We moved in 2021. So I am an educator. I've had 40 years in education. Most of that is in Montessori education. I am a researcher for the American Montessori Society, and I'm currently researching artificial intelligence. Don't know how that ended up, but it just because we had just since February 2023, and it's a hands-on pedagogy. We're about knowing how to plant trees and knowing how to engage with nature, and we're now looking at what do we do in the age of AI. So the conversation I had with Paul and the document I sent was that we are currently living in a very, very uncertain world. 19 million people in America are faced with food insecurity and just access to affordable food. And so, but we're not doing enough to educate our children. If you just think about the children that you have physical contact with, like you actually know or know of, or whatever, do those children know how to get outside, restore soil, plant crops, go through the harvest, make sure it's all safe, actually produce something with their food, and do that cycle again next year? I mean, I think you'd point to a child, the odd child per year, who actually knows the whole process. So in Montessori, our children know that process because they learn it when they're 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like all the way through their lives. So if they're in a Montessori school, it is part of our education. You know, we want our children to have a lot of agency around their own food confidence. So, for instance, if you think about the street sides, I mean, we talked about trees on the street sides, but there are a lot of street sides in Berthoud. And some of them are beautifully maintained and some of them are kind of left. But there is territory, there's sort of land that could be repurposed. And you're talking about education, Hannah, sorry to use your first name, but you're talking about education. And, you know, we're a disengaged population. I mean, generally, we're just disengaged. Unless it's on our phone and it's easy, we'll do it. But if it's not easy, we won't do it. So in a way, when you're looking at Wagner Park Farm and you're looking at street sides, looking at your actual real estate that you have, and Berthoud is extraordinary for the land that you have purchased over the years, and the Berthoud Recreation Centre and the Wagner Park Farm Park, and you know what you have planned is beyond extraordinary, and what you've already achieved with the Old Town Park and Fickle Park and Berthoud Recreation. There's so much focus on family and on that building a strong core of family and engagement. So in a way, your message about what happens to that land and what happens to any land in Berthoud, can it align with the future that is heading towards us? Because at the moment, the future is heading towards us very, very fast. And we want our children to feel food secure, to feel confident in the landscape. And anyway, I mean, if you just go onto the Wagner Farm Park, the land out there, and you walk it, there are lots of natural herbs. I mean, dandelions always grow, purslane always grows. There are lots of things you can actually pick up and eat. Because if you're a herbologist, if you know about herbs, you would go, oh, okay, we've got this, you can use that for that. Like, there is wisdom and knowledge that there are many, many people have. I mean, maybe in Berthoud, but certainly locally. You can actually tap into people who really know about plants and herbs and the use. We have a ginkgo biloba tree in Fickle Park, and I've been sneaking up there and taking the odd leaf and kind of going, oh my goodness, you know, we literally have herbs at our doorstep. The other thing that happens in Berthoud is that we have a lot of fruit trees in private land and in Fickle Park that the fruit is not harvested. So it ends up being a mess on the floor, and then we use that as an excuse not to plant fruit trees that create a mess or a smell, because we go, well, no, they're just wasted. But if you actually trained your population to go, oh my goodness, crab apples are coming, what are we going to use for crab apples? Maybe there's a group who goes to harvest the crab apples, and they can use the product to serve the unhoused population, which there are unhoused people in Fickle Park. So you know, what's interesting is there is a moment right now that we're either ahead of it or we're behind it. And if we're behind the curve, we're going to be in a flat spin when there's like COVID, when suddenly you're at home and you know maybe there wasn't comfort with food, and maybe people did learn how to grow food for a while. I mean, we don't want that. We don't want to be in a reactive state. So the idea was talk about or think about what we can do with Wagner Farm Park that is literally teaching children, teaching everybody, teaching adults, you know, how to grow food, you know, what natural plants exist, what natural herbs exist. So that education, but also engaging them not in a sort of scare tactics way, but in a very sort of loving and enthusiastic way, that they really, really want to be part of this. This is a small town. It may not be small for long because you've got this amazing water park and you've got Berthoud Recreation. You've got a lot of things happening in this park, in this town, that are going to attract a lot of people very quickly. And if you want to grow as a town that stays small, because it's that small and connected to the agricultural land, etc., then having the messaging about knowing what you're doing, not everybody knowing what you're doing. Like if you're walking around the town, you actually know what the tree is called. I mean, Brandon Coons has done an extraordinary job on his tree walks. We have been to all of them. My husband and I have been to every single one, and he nails it every time. His knowledge is exceptional, but his enthusiasm is more important, because if he can communicate that to the schools, and not just an optional. This is not an optional thing. We're saying this has to come into schools. So however it goes into schools, it's going in, and yes, everybody's going to learn, and we're all going to learn together, about food security. And then the last thing is about being a steward of the land. I research AI. There's a gentleman called Jerry Simpson who works for Atlas, and it's his company, sorry, and he has an indigenous AI. He was given the distinct honor of being able to upload indigenous wisdom from wise elders from lots of cultures into this artificial intelligence. And he took it to a SpaceX conference where he was talking to rocket scientists, Elon Musk and the bigwigs. And he asked the AI, how do we get to Mars? What do we do about going to Mars? And the AI said, you ask Mars for permission. And everybody laughed. And he said, and that's our relationship with permission. We don't think we have to ask permission. We just do what we like. So my last thing is that we have a land blessing. You have enough elders in this area. It's not on that document. You have enough elders and wisdom keepers in different cultures, different faiths. You could have a non-denominational land blessing for Wagner Farm Park, because what you do is you bring in children, you bring in anybody who wants to be in a big circle, blessing the land, bringing their traditions, and then you start listening to these elders. You're listening, not they don't have to be old, but listen to these wisdom keepers. Because again, if you want to put your flag in the ground as a family first, really powerful community, then we have to start educating children fast about how to maintain soil, how to restore soil, how to grow a tree, all of it. But we have to do it quickly, because what we're doing right now is making children need us. We are unreliable. Human beings especially are unreliable, but adults are unreliable because they're exhausted. And if you always make it so that it's not a community thing, so you can build a community around, we just know about plants, we just know about our land, we just know. You can actually make it happen, but it is a commitment. And it speaks to your education, Hannah, but it also speaks to all of it, communication, everything you just said. So anyway, thank you. And I just live across the street if you want to ever talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Can I
Could
sneak
I-
off, or do you have any questions?
Question?
Yes.
Have you contacted the people, this organization, which I don't know who the people, I think I have someplace the people, but called Berthoud Local? Have you been involved with
I
them?
have not, no.
Because they're the ones, if I understand correctly, they're the ones that ran the community garden over at Pioneer Park.
Okay.
And I don't know why they decided that Pioneer Park Community Garden wasn't working. And they've basically pulled everything
It's
out.
being rebuilt.
It's
It's
gonna
being
be
redone.
rebuilt, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the rebuilding is gonna do. Now, we do have fruit trees over there.
It's raised beds.
It is gonna be raised beds
The-
Yeah,
again?
just higher raised beds.
Oh,
Yeah.
higher raised beds, so it's not gonna be, short grass prairie.
No.
Okay,
No, Parks is
Okay.
helping rebuild that
okay.
and just kind of giving.
That's what all that stuff in the parking lot with the
Yep.
cameras and saying, so that
Yep.
people don't steal it, okay.
Yep, they're updating that. And Berthoud Local, it's a pretty small group that they do a bit of outreach. The lady in town who I think she still works on it, or at least she's my contact for Berthoud Local. Her name's Emmy, and she is very involved with the community garden down there. And I'm sure I can introduce you guys electronically, but she has also done a lot for. I don't know if it was Berthoud Local, but she helped get a. I don't know if you've seen the backside of Ivy. The school that's right next to Town Park. If you look right across their fence line, they've got like this huge corner of their schoolyard that's like a garden, a perennial garden. She actually did a lot getting that made for the school. So she also believes in like getting this information about plants out to the kids. Berthoud Elementary, not so much luck. I think Ivy just, really took it and ran with it, whereas I don't know if there was much effort put into any other schools, but she was a huge proponent in moving that along. And so I can link you up with her, and at least she very involved with Berthoud Local, and she might not be the head person, but she could definitely introduce you to, it's a pretty small group, unfortunately, but yeah.
If you, in terms of the Wagner Farm Park though, if you have plans for signage, if in the wilder areas, signage about what the herb is and how it can be used and whatever, that can actually be taken to the Old Town Park now, and you can start signage around each tree. This is this tree, so it's really just reminding everybody that this matters by just communicating that. Even if it's a QR code that you can hold, there's a QR code in front of the tree that takes you to, it's just a matter of, it will take a lot in terms of just consistency. But yeah.
That's my experience with arboretums elsewhere, is that they have signs for various plants and trees and bushes and stuff. Not every bush and everything, but once you have one or two of them that have the same, you can identify from.
Yeah.
But when I walk around to other places, well, what is this tree? We need the sign there. At least one of the trees in the area with the sign.
Well, if you want to jump into a slightly more tech orientated thing, you can do a virtual reality program. There's a gentleman called Android Jones who lives in Lyons, and he created Samskara, which is a virtual reality 3D thing. But he could probably create something you can hold your phone and get up against, and have all the information for each tree. So I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot, but I just wanted to share that it's worth doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. And with the Arboretum too, I'm gonna be a huge proponent and the voice for this, is that we need signs just about everywhere. Like it'd be nice, it is going to be a nice park, but if people aren't walking through there and learning something, then really what is the point, and I think having everything from, native Colorado ecosystems to, our new urban ecosystems to just agriculture, every little aspect we're trying to bring back into it. And I've used the term, I want to see the park littered with plaques and and signs that are just, trying to teach people just about anything. They're look at it. You can't look one way or the other without learning about a plant or why that's there or what this is representing. So yeah, it's going to be, at least I hope, if I'm heard, that it's very educational.
The library doesn't have much space, but some of the plants, the library does have labels on some of the plants around the library.
And then having the community have some sort of land blessing or community events that honor the land, honor traditions, I think that would also get people engaged. Thank you.
I'm wondering if there's opportunities for, grants, especially around the food insecurity. I just feel like there must be, something that we could dive into there for all of these topics that you bring up. So,
Yeah.
have you looked into
I
any
have
of
not
this?
looked at
Okay.
grants. I've just
Yeah.
finished a career in education. So
Okay.
my school is asking for me to write grants at the moment. But
Yeah.
it's a lot. But yeah,
Yeah, that is,
it's just not to do nothing, because things will happen, life will happen, and the children are either going to be prepared or not.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead, Randy.
well, before you leave, there was a second information sheet that we got regarding
The education thing.
the 100-year-old ash tree.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Well, we live on 748 Mountain Avenue. We're the ones that just took down the tree, but we stopped the traffic to get the tree down. And I was saying to Brandon, I said, look, I literally cleaned up the trunk and said, do you want to let schools know that you can come and actually pick up some really, really light wood, because it's all being eaten by ash borer. So you can pick up I've got the wood in the bucket. I don't want to, my husband is very keen to get it ground down, the stump ground, and put a new tree in, whatever. I said, but I'm an educator, so we can't miss the opportunity to let the schools know, come and have a look at this. This is really interesting while the tree is in the state, but just always looking for educational opportunities.
Along with that, so we actually had a great year I went and spoke to both the elementary schools here in town, around Arbor Day to teach them about teach the kids about trees. And time was moved way faster than I thought it would. There was not enough time to talk about nearly everything I had planned, but that would be something where I could maybe come and like scoop up a bag of the deteriorated wood and at least show kids like, you know, at least show them like a real, you know, healthy piece of wood compared to like what happens when it, you know, rots away like that. And cause I was thinking that might be kind of complicated to get schools to walk like a, you know, group of kids down next to, you know, a main street here in town just to.
They'd end up over at the A&W.
But sometimes it's just a matter of letting them know, look, this tree's gonna be there for another 2 weeks or whatever, if you wanna go and have a look at it, cause if a kid's interested and their parents are interested, they'll come and have a look. So there are millions of opportunities like that every day in Berthoud.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place.
One thing I was gonna mention, and I think talking to Sean, the Arboretum, every area of that hasn't been finalized, I don't think. And they talked about community gardens, some areas, and then there was that one area that was supposed to honor the farming heritage of Berthoud or something. They may be interested in something like you're talking about with a portion of that. And Sean might be the person to really talk about or ask about, and then he could send you in the right direction. But,
He's our town board representative.
yeah,
Thank you.
so I don't know if that's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. Good evening.
Moving along to our poster contest calendar discussion.
Another big one. I knew this was gonna be a big meeting.
I think Randy's done a terrific job.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions, but
Okay,
I think other than that, this is a real terrific job.
do you wanna put up the pricing sheet that I sent you? Did you?
Let me work on that. I gotta
Okay.
log into my email.
All right. So I approached Staples, and the pricing that, if Paul can get it up here, you'll see that we got pricing down to about $7.61 per calendar for the number of pages that we've got. And if we want to use heavier paper, if you want to feel touchy-feely, the paper that they printed this example on is actually 28 pound. And I had to look up what that meant, and I guess it's 28 pounds for a 500 pound ream, or a 500 page ream of paper,
Right.
which seems kind of heavy, but it had something to do with before it's cut, and I don't know. There's a real technical explanation, so this 28 pound paper is the first quote that I had gotten from them. And then there's also a 32 pound paper, which feels a little glossier, and Hannah said, yeah, this might be a better presentation of the color on the 32 pound, and that jumps the price up to $8.83. And then we've got cardstock, and again, if you want a touchy-feely,
I use cardstock, so that's, I know how heavy
That-
that stuff is.
that goes up to $10.39 per calendar.
Per calendar.
So we're in the range where it's reasonable, and I think we can still work within Paul's estimate for how much budget he's got. But they printed me a sample, so I gave them the graphic information, and they gave me the sample. Now, she did want me to clarify that the back and the plastic cover are extra. So I was thinking if we go on a little bit heavier paper, we can probably print these out without the protection on either side, and they would still stack nicely on a school desk somewhere that they could be handed out to kids, so.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do we know what the Windsor one is made out of?
I would guess cardstock, 110, but I don't know for sure.
It's, when I felt of it as I went by, I wasn't gonna
So
cardstock,
nice.
I think it's a little light, it's a little lighter than what I use as cardstock, which would be similar to what I print out when I print the name tags out, that's more like a cardstock. It's, I think of cardstock as being the cover of something, and then you have the lighter paper underneath.
Yeah,
But each page is like the cover, like each month is the cover of the, it's not a presentation,
No,
it's.
no.
How much did you say the cardstock was per copy?
$10 or something.
these are the pricings, the highlighted in yellow. So, I think I've captured everything, most everybody's comments. The only thing that we might add are the meeting dates, but we'd have to decide on President's Day and Martin Luther King Day, because those are the third Mondays.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna move it to the following Monday for both of those months, if we can decide that now for 2025.
Yeah,
We could.
moving
I mean,
it
that's-
works. I would rather not, on day I have off, not
No,
come in at
we-
5:30.
no.
But moving it works. We can move it before or after, so whatever works for all y'all. I'll be here.
Didn't we do that last year?
Yeah,
A couple-
or this year,
Did we?
2024.
We usually
yeah.
move it to the 4th last year, don't we?
Oh, okay.
Do
Yeah,
I have a
I guess we
motion?
moved it up to the 2nd on occasion, but
yeah, I think so.
as long as we don't interfere with I forget which of the other committees meets on Mondays.
I think Christian said that Mondays were pretty wide open for us.
Yeah.
So,
Can I entertain a motion to move, the President's Day and MLK Day holiday dates for meetings to the fourth Monday in 2025?
So move.
Second?
I second that emotion.
Hold on.
Randy, I think I do like the thicker, like the glosses
Looks
would
like
look
the-
better, but
Historic
It needs to
Preservation
hold up.
Advisory Committee.
Oh, that's right,
Mondays.
yes. They usually meet on Mondays, that's
They're
right.
the
Maybe
second
I've
Monday,
done
so we can
some
move
like
it
that.
back.
If we moved it to the 4th Monday.
yeah,
but
I wonder if we
still-
could show them this.
So
Yeah.
that would be
Could match it.
February.
Oh, yeah,
January
that's something.
27th and
Yeah.
February 24th.
I'm running out of time.
24th.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
Yeah.
Randy, we're
it's
giving you.
clear.
Okay,
So,
Hey,
okay.
Randy, take it back and
So I
revise
knew
it.
there was one of the other ones that met on
Yeah, we
Monday.
don't want to keep
Yeah,
adding
we'll
Motion
move
on
stuff.
the
second-
floor, and I
second
think
Monday.
you're saying it's okay to move it to the fourth Monday?
The 4th, yeah, I'd have to move back. The Historic Preservation Advisory Committee does the second Monday.
Okay,
of
so
each
we'll
month.
meet, in 2025, we'll meet January 27th and February 24th,
Yes.
as opposed to the third Monday.
Big note for that.
Any other discussion?
Okay, so that'll be one edit that I'll put on the master that I give to them if we go forward with this.
So all in favor?
Aye,
Okay, those opposed? Okay, yeah, you can just make that one.
okay.
Great, okay. That's,
So I did
that's
have a
done.
couple of questions
Good.
for you. Potential edits if they haven't been done already.
Okay,
On the front cover, we have the 2023 winners, correct?
correct.
Okay. On the inside cover, or for January, the copy I have has 2024 winner for 3rd grade, but 2023 for 4th and 5th.
Oh, I missed that one.
Good catch.
Yeah, okay,
Are those supposed to be all 2024s?
they are supposed
Okay.
to be 2024.
And my other comment is, it's okay the way things are, but I was noticing, I was going through and looking at the pictures and, okay, this is all great, this looks great, and then I went to the back page and looking, I said, wait a second, haven't I seen one of those before? And I went back and, oh yeah, the November pictures for the November in here are also on the back page. I don't know if you intended that, but it's the only month I could quickly notice that we had the same picture. If you go on the top for the 3rd grade submissions, on the back page, the 4th one over, the tree with the globe in it, that's the 3rd grade one for November. And if you go to the 4th grade, the 2nd one over is the 4th grade for November. And what is that word, 5th grade, save the trees. Oh yeah, the 2nd one over on the bottom line is November. I didn't go comprehensively and look at all of these, and it really doesn't matter, but if, if it wasn't intentional and you have them one in twice, you know how kids are.
Can I see your copy of that? Like, how big are they actually on that? Yeah, they're pretty small.
I mean, it won't take much to bump those out, but I'll go back through and,
No, I raised the question and
yeah,
it's, I'm okay either way if there's some intentional reason for doing that. Like, you ran out, needed to put something in November and you forgot to take them out or whatever, but that's okay.
well, when you've got one page at a time coming up on screen.
Oh, yeah, right,
So-
exactly.
Yeah, that,
But I think it's, everything else, I mean, it's really great. That's a lot of work that you put in, and I wanna thank you for doing that.
That's the other thing too, Randy, if you say you run out of time, if you have like a specific thing that needs to be looked into or done, throw it out there, you know, if someone can help you.
yeah,
There's a
not
lot of
really
work on it.
unless somebody's proficient at PowerPoint, but I'd rather be the one to get in and change these last few little items. And Paul, if you want me to, I can add the meeting dates on our calendar here.
I think that'd be cool. I mean, that's what Windsor did.
That'd be useful.
I'm not, I don't know, I think, yeah, we're kind of like working on the final pricing. Who's got that? Ooh, can I see that real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, you, I just want to see this one. Yeah, we're kind of just working on that final pricing. And, I mean, we're just double checking we're gonna have enough for everything and, or just adjusting our quantities to reflect how much we have. Does anyone happen to remember what, Sean said the board allows, us? I can't remember what that amount was, but
Was that the $1,500?
was it 15? Okay,
I thought it was 1,500, but
okay.
might have to
yeah,
go
that's-
back through notes or the recordings to find it.
I know, same, I can't remember off the top of my head, but, so that would, and I only have 1,400. We can spend over what I have budgeted. It's like, I can just give them a heads up. So I could talk with my boss tomorrow and just be like, hey, we wanna go all out with our calendars this year, and it might go over a couple thousand. I didn't really think to ask for more money in my education and outreach budget, cause it's kind of been one of those forgotten ones for so long, but now since we're starting to use it for something like this, I'm sure, you know, if we went over, and budget talks aren't exactly over yet, maybe I could just plug to, you know, add $2,000 more into it, and we make this a tradition.
Hey, didn't Sean say there was like they met at certain times or something, so to have the money at the time we needed to get
Can't remember if
it
they've
on
been
the
through that.
agenda for.
Oh, like the board, like allotting, like giving us that.
Yeah,
money,
right,
so
if we wanted to,
I think they had, they
get
just,
something approved.
I think they just, one of their meetings, they had at least the initial budget
Hmm.
but presented, because I don't think they finalized it until November.
Yeah.
But then there's always a middle of the year thing somewhere in June, July,
Yeah.
August, where they do a mid-year adjustment as well.
He was talking about the extra things we're gonna do at the Oktoberfest booth, I think. He said if you needed that money, apply by this date, it's
Oh.
coming up, and then,
Right,
you know,
because we
they would
talked
be able to
about
approve it. So I
getting
think this is
yeah,
maybe outside of budget or comes from some kind of fund within the budget. It isn't part of the,
so we need some communication with Sean about,
Yeah, and I was gonna try to start working on that because Randy's getting me prices.
Okay,
And I was
on it.
going to double check how all of that would, the finances of it all would come.
so what kind of quantity are we talking about?
That's what I was gonna
yeah,
ask too.
Randy was looking at 500.
That's where I
500, oh,
started.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
That does get to be more if it's the card stock at 11
Yeah,
bucks.
well, right.
Here's the pricing sheet that I emailed Paul earlier. I should have given it to him.
That's
I didn't have
okay.
time to get in the meeting, but
Oh, I see, okay, you got it all calculated out there.
yeah,
I was
What
looking
company
About
is this?
$6,700 for card
Randy,
stock.
what company
Yeah.
is this?
Staples.
Okay.
Just so
Well,
that I
actually-
have somebody I can interface with directly as opposed to an online
Yeah.
agent.
I'm
So-
wondering if what the cost difference would
At least
be.
on the most expensive one, Randy, and I'm estimating, I've got 1,400 in my education, and with the 1,500 from the board, that just ballparking 3,000 that's still 288 calendars at that card stock.
That's a lot.
Hmm?
That's a lot.
And that is a lot. Like 500 is great and it's ambitious, but like, what if we have too many and we can't get rid of them? You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so. I think 200, 250 would definitely be well within our budget and a very doable amount, even to hand out. Because like with most calendars, I think you want to try to get them out within the first couple months
Yeah.
of the year. Like if it came to Arbor Day, or not Arbor Day would be a good event, but like if we still had some by Berthoud Day, would people really be picking them up? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
unless they were like parents that their kids had a drawing in or something. But yeah, I mean, we could again take it kind of small, take it within our budget
And let's
this
see
year.
how, if we have a huge demand, we know we can up it.
Yeah.
So to
Based on that.
explain that further, I had gotten quotes based on the 500 calendars. And
And it may go up.
Right.
well, what they allowed me to do was to look at the option of breaking it down into a 50 calendar order. 50 calendars gets us to at least a $500 order with Staples.
Okay.
And right now, until November 2nd, they're having this printing deal that they offer through the corporate of discounting $150 for every $500 order. So if I break it into the 50 calendar order, I can get 150 off, and that's how I arrive at that lower price. So
We could squeeze in more. So that would mean with that promotion ending kind of short, like next couple weeks here, I wonder if anybody wants to take any final looks at this one. I think this one was the final draft. We kind of bounced back and forth, Randy, but maybe if you want to do some slight edits, and maybe I'll send it out as soon as you send it to me. Everybody give it one more really good proofread, and we'll send that feedback to Randy. And then hopefully by then I can get finances figured out for this, and maybe make sure we have tax exempt at Staples, and we'll see how that works. I wonder if you could place an order for us, putting it on the town's account or something.
I'm sure they would work with us to get the business, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he probably just needs the tax ID number.
yeah,
I would say that's usually not that.
Well,
Or,
the
I mean,
certificate.
I think we do have an account
So
at
it's-
Staples, and so maybe
Okay.
you could just be like, yeah, this will
Maybe
be.
already listed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
check that out
Oh,
first.
okay.
I mean, it's not like they ask for anything.
Yeah.
If we already have an account, they don't ask you to present the tax ID number. You can just, they usually see our logos.
Yeah,
And
they normally
like,
have to type into the system in order to like reconcile not charging you tax, but they normally don't. I've never been asked for a certificate. I think if you just have the number.
if we're in the system, we never get asked.
Yeah.
Like after the fact, they're just, so I can double check that. And then, I mean, we might be on our way to place those orders before November.
Which would be
Nice.
great.
That would be, because we could start getting them out December.
I mean, that was my goal, was to try to have everything finalized by September, so we're into the middle of October already, so. Yeah, things are rolling pretty quickly, and then with the holidays coming up, it's gonna be harder to get things accomplished.
Yeah.
I might need to talk to Stephanie about the issue that Hannah brought up as to whether there's a standard, because I noticed on something that you had up earlier, the town of Berthoud symbol had garden spot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what was the exact wording?
Well, this is,
Yeah, garden spot of Colorado. You've
no,
got it
next
on your
to it.
heading.
It's next to it. It's not.
So it almost looks like I should be adding garden spot of Colorado next to the logo that I have on
Yeah.
all the pages, but
They,
I don't think you have to.
yeah, they're not too specific with the logo, because they give us, I can't open it.
Yeah, there's probably like 5 different versions you can do.
We have like a folder with all the different
Yeah.
logos we can use. I mean, they're all pretty standardized, but some of them will say like, they actually have one for each department. So there's a logo with like forestry next to it, and that looks kind of nice. And then I'm sure other ones will say like, town of Berthoud with garden spot of Colorado. So it's kind of splitting hairs, like it doesn't, it's not one way or
Yeah,
another.
I
But
just took a snapshot off the website to get this one, so.
Yeah, so that's what came up.
One thing, and
Berthoud.org.
I'm not gonna add a lot of suggestions, cause
Same
I know
thing,
we
yeah.
wanna move with this, but I noticed on the Windsor calendar, it said, like, presented by the town, the tree board, or it, you know, referenced that, where I think maybe that might be, like, at the bottom of this, see the orange part, I think it says that, or
Yeah.
yeah, can you show that to Randy? That might be something nice to add.
Okay, cause I was hoping that this next to the
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
QR code.
Yeah, then that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Another edit then, as long as we're talking about that, we have 2024 third grade runner-up, et cetera, on the back page, maybe we should say other 2024 submissions, third, fourth, and fifth grade. So,
or you could do a catch-all, like, thank you for all the other,
yeah, thank you, something like that as well.
Yeah. thank you for.
Since the front says 2025 Arbor Day poster, and we've got 2023 and 2024. But some language back on the back page that just indicates so that they recognize that we recognize that we've acknowledging all of the students that submitted something
Yeah.
here.
And that's why I created that page, was so that we wouldn't leave anybody
Yeah,
out.
Yes.
that's a great
that's
idea.
in-
I understood
Yeah.
that, and I was glad you did that, yeah.
Cause I, majority of kids are gonna be looking for theirs in there
Oh, yeah.
somewhere, I'm sure.
So was it more expensive to do like the clear cover and the like back plastic sheet? Yeah, or was it more expensive to do like just another page like how theirs is, where I guess it's more printing, more ink, so.
Actually, I didn't get a price on this. She kind of threw this in
Oh.
on the sample just to make it look nice. And I probably should have had her pull it off so that there wouldn't be that misunderstanding, but,
Mhm. And maybe it's might be a little late since you've already got quotes to like, redesign it front and a back page kind of thing. And get.
what
new-
would you want to have that done?
Nah, I think it's a little too close to the deadline here, but you know how like their front page is,
Just a page.
yeah, it's got a nice cover, and then I was thinking, since we're talking about the back page having all the submissions, I mean, we'll know that probably wasn't all of the submissions because there were a ton. But you could almost do like a front and back with all of them, but that we're talking a lot of
Well,
work there.
Actually, I think I got everybody
Really?
either on the calendar or on this back page.
Wow,
Cause I went through and scanned everything that was in the box.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
That's what I
Okay,
thought
well-
it looked to me like that's
So
what
we're-
you'd
I don't
done,
know,
yeah.
I think we're pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's everybody.
So we'll keep all these in mind for next year.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Let's
No,
go
yeah,
this one
baby
then.
steps,
Actually,
baby
another
steps.
question, it might
Okay.
be small, but, so they have the perforated here to
Mhm.
hang and turn it. Is this what you were thinking? And if so, would that come with like, I've seen them with a little clip or something you can do it?
No, cause it would need to be punched up here.
up
And
there to
yeah,
do
that was one of the, because that gives you the calendar and then the pictures.
Oh, okay, all at the same time.
Yeah, so it would be a
Okay,
whole like that,
right.
and we just didn't talk about that, but I think they would do that,
Is
yeah.
it cheaper to do this kind of thing maybe?
It probably, yeah, it could be.
Is that just stapled?
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
stapled. I didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
If we could get away with that, that's fine. I mean,
Might
we only
depend
use it
on
here.
The paper that's used too.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, if you can see if there's like other options like that, I'm sure they're not too far off, and that wouldn't change our quantities too much, but yeah, those are good suggestions too. I'm sure that binding, I mean, it seems pretty cheap, but it still probably is more expensive than two staples.
it's a lot of hand labor actually. So if I got rid of this and just went to straight staples,
Uh-huh.
then they could print out on 11 by 17 staple,
Mhm.
and they'd be done. So,
Yeah.
you know, I might be able to get some modification to that, so.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, cause they don't come like this, you'd have to put the binding on it.
Yeah, I watched her as she was putting this together, and she had to coil this whole thing up by hand, and then had a crimper that
That's a
she,
lot of labor then.
That
yeah.
is a lot of labor.
that she on
Oh,
there.
500
We have to
calendars.
lengthen Have
That
to
was-
start our meeting early to get all that done.
Yeah. So, do we wanna try to go to cardstock then? So that would give us $10.39 per calendar, and
What was that one that you had printed on what paper?
this was on 28 pound.
Which was,
Is that
I just like the cardstock.
So 28, 32 pound, and then cardstock.
Paul, next fill that one.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's what I'm shooting
that's
for.
I know.
That's like magazine slick.
know, I
you
like that
know.
one.
With the glossy.
And they had a good
yeah.
point with the gloss, the pictures really do
Yeah, I,
stand out.
oh, I
But maybe
agree.
you can get a glossy cardstock too, in that way.
We wanna print out 10 calendars, we could probably
Yeah.
go with this.
I think if we ask them about the construction difference, like I think that will, because like my printer at work will put staples in, and fold,
Yeah.
things. So,
Okay,
So we're printing them up at your,
yeah.
so
Come down to
so I can
Anschutz.
take this with me.
yeah, please do. Yeah, if you give them that and be like, we're trying to emulate this, then, you know, if we could get as close to that. but-
Okay, well, if you can answer those other questions for me, and then give me a budget
So,
number, and I'll
Um,
check with them when I go down. I'll have to go on Wednesday, I got something tomorrow,
so it was run it past Stephanie for,
Like font.
standards,
standards, yeah.
and then what was the other one?
How much can we spend?
The money,
So,
the money question.
we're okay with the logo the way it is, and we're gonna
I
leave it
think we
there.
decided we were.
Oh, I might, you said you just like snapshotted this off the website?
yeah,
I might be able to send you like I mean, it looks good printed off there, but I can send you the actual file for the
Okay.
logo. That's like probably just a little bit more crisp.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
and then next year, looking for a volunteer for next year's effort. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, hopefully, well, I don't know, yeah, it would probably still need to be laid out again, but at least we would have, you know, what we want.
We
Like-
could follow this format quite a bit.
Well, if
Yeah.
you got a
So
file
you've
with this
done a lot of
format,
the initial work.
Well, and that's kind of
replace
why I had.
picture with new picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, they just had a single
Yeah,
on each page. I was trying to get more of our kids involved in it,
Yeah.
and so I was trying to capture everything that they had on there,
Mhm.
onto ours, so.
Have you,
And that was another thing I was actually talking about today is they fit one per page because their
you ever done
pieces of
any-
paper are more landscape, where our handouts were
Square.
portrait.
Yeah.
And we could probably just swap it with the rules, or I don't know if we could print off one that had like the rules attached to it, but we could maybe get them to draw them on landscape
Yeah.
and then just go to one per page. I mean, depending on how many, you know, we wanna feature.
Well, let's get some feedback on this. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a lot of kids that are excited that, hey, my month is coming up,
Yeah.
and in September, when we're back to school, you know, my 4th grade poster is up there, and now I'm in 5th grade, but,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, well, and just something to consider though, like what if next year it's, you know, we only get so many, you know,
Yeah.
like we only get,
Yeah, we have
Ew.
a lot of kids come by our booth at Arbor Day and talk about that.
They did.
really?
And
Yeah,
like,
they're looking forward to
really
it.
enthusiastic.
Really?
Like one
Yes.
kid raved, he loved your talk, and like
Oh.
Yeah.
he was so excited. Like seriously,
Yeah.
yeah. Who was
Wow.
standing next to me? What's the one of your Foresters' name?
Richard? Or
Brandon. Brandon was standing right there, and so he heard all of it. But yeah, he just like raved about the talk, was super excited.
Hmm.
And then we had kids coming by, and they're like, I did that.
And they
but
can't
mine-
wait for the next one.
But
I mean,
mine
they
did,
said that.
yeah, and they were like, mine didn't win, and I'm like, just you wait, see, check out the
Try next
calendar.
year.
So I think,
Oh, that is so
I think
cool.
this is actually,
Well, maybe we
Pretty
have an A
popular.
and B, like, you know, like an outstanding year where we can fit, you know, 3 per month, and then maybe like if we get a lower year,
Yeah,
we
we
can
could-
do like 1 per month or something.
yeah.
But, you know, if it's part of their the class, like curriculum in that, which it sounds like it almost was this
Yeah.
year, that you can, I mean,
And
you're
I
pretty
think
much
it
gonna
would,
be submitting every one.
Wait till you get 500 submissions next year.
well, and also like giving these back to the schools, I think would reinforce that
Right.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
is like solidified in April.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
look at, Connors, whatever, because we did this last year. So I think it'll be kind of like a self-fulfilling cycle after a while.
Yeah.
So you saw the box over there. I gave you everything back.
Oh, that's what this is.
That's what that is.
Nice.
The box.
Sweet. Cool.
But yeah, the
Um,
talk was very well received, so
The what?
your talk, whatever you
Oh,
did,
yeah,
like, so you'll have
That's
to,
crazy.
he was like, it was so cool.
I'll try to refine it.
I was
for
so
you.
excited about trees after that. Like seriously, I was like shocked this kid, like unprompted, this kid was volunteering all of this.
Should've got
That
his
makes me
name,
blush.
Paul, for future employment.
Yeah.
Let's move.
Oh,
Okay,
That's
any more
cool.
discussion on the poster?
No, we'll try to, I guess we'll try to make some moves real quick here before
I
the
think
second.
the sooner the better.
Again,
Well, the
Randy,
second
if
is
you
only
have
2 weeks away.
One
Oh my
thing that
God.
needs.
Yeah, that gives us this week and next week.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Randy, did you
Be gone
went
for
in and placed that order? Like you didn't do an online thing? Like,
Yeah, I went right to Staples, so
And-
I've got a person that I'm talking to.
okay, did you and you gave him the, this file, sorry.
Yeah,
this
the
file
electronic
on like a
file.
flash drive?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all she needed, and she would just need to change the 8.5 by 11 print to an 11 by 17 to put it on like a 2-page.
Okay.
So I don't think that's a big deal for them.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'll get these questions hopefully answered tomorrow. And maybe we can organize a time to run down there and place the order.
Okay.
That'd be-
Staff report?
Oh, man, yeah, see, this is a long meeting, guys. I'm sorry, I'll fire through this. I
Yeah.
didn't get a lot of pictures from my guys this week. It's-
Well, Brandon made sure that we took a group picture because
It's, it's.
did you put
featured.
him in charge of the monthly report or the? Because he acted like he had to be responsible for getting
Oh,
that.
my guys just know to
Oh,
take
okay.
photos. And plus, as you can see from like his tree walks, he really likes
That was a
to,
reward for
he
him.
really likes the community outreach stuff.
He does, he did very well. They both did.
Yeah, they did.
they're
So
great guys.
we just finished up planting trees. We planted more, you'll notice a lot of new trees at
Yes.
Wagner. And then just kind of odds and ends here and there around town, just filling spots, but we're kind of done. We're getting really too close. We're starting blowouts in the next couple of weeks and yeah, it's just getting a little too cold. So finishing tree planting, let's see. Just some more routine things. As stuff starts slowing down, just like pruning suckers off of trees. We've been kind of letting some suckers go this year. So I'm sure when we get around to wrapping, a lot of the suckers are gonna come off. A little bit of clearance pruning on the juniper at Town Park after it opened.
That looks so much better, by the way.
Yeah,
Nice job, yeah.
and then y'all at Oktoberfest, yes, Brandon, he was telling me the story about this guy, like he was just some guy visiting with you guys and
Yeah.
Brandon was like, let's take a picture, and he's like, I'm gonna stay, so I don't know who that was, I guess just some guy walking through, so. But yeah, it sounds like it was a great success, sounds like an awesome event. I've never seen Oktoberfest at Town Park, so
It worked.
yeah, and people, it got great reviews, so expect it there from here on out. We've removed a couple of the maples on, this is Pioneer Park over kind of near the pond. The basketball court would be kind of right over here. These are ones that have really been struggling with iron chlorosis for a while, so we just decided to pull the Band-Aid and just, they kind of would put out leaves, but we decided it was their time. We're gonna prep these spots for planting. And actually, I was thinking we're going to try to do Arbor Day at this spot next
Oh,
year
okay.
at Pioneer Park. There's like these two little like humps over here. They're like these weird grassy mounds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with
Oh, yeah.
Pioneer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's like these two quite frankly, really pointless, like grass mounds that are irrigated, and they're like, it's the perfect size for a tree. I don't know why it was like these mounds. But we're gonna actually scrape these off level with the concrete and also prep those for 2 more trees. So hopefully, you know, the pavilions are all right over here. We'll have, I think it was like 1, 2, like 3, 4 planting spots, cause that was another comment we got that, you know, there's only 1 tree and, you know, we got a lot of people, so we're thinking of nice park, pavilions, and many trees. So that's what we're gonna shoot for next year, at Pioneer. Yeah, I think a couple more here. A lot of these maples are just, kinda dropping off one after the other. But some low branches, clearing up, more just clearance pruning, it's always just good busy work. And then, this is kind of a little, cul-de-sac here in town where we actually got updated that it is not an HOA, even though there's only 8 houses on the cul-de-sac, so no one really maintained, these trees in the middle of it, so my guys went in and, clearance pruned these. It seemed like they hadn't gotten much, care after a while, but, that was kind of the closest before and after, but we really cleaned them up, allowed for more room for parking underneath them, cause they were getting pretty low. Yeah, there's another good one, yeah, definitely cleaned them up. But, besides that, for me, it's just been, getting ready for budget talks and getting ready for fall. We'll be hanging Christmas lights by the time I see you guys again,
Oh my
so,
gosh.
yeah, we're getting ready for that.
Will you be wrapping your new trees you put in?
Yes, that's another huge thing we're getting ready for. Probably like right after we're done with blowouts is just go around and start wrapping everything. So,
At Pioneer Park, around the pond, there had been some trees planted right next to the pond, and I think most of them are gone, they're
Yeah.
died off.
we let them die.
Okay.
Cause it was a weird area where there was construction fences and we didn't know if, you know, it was okay to go back there. And, I was keeping up on watering them for a while, but I was like, you know what, just let all this mess, like,
Okay.
solve itself and then,
It's unclear whether, it looks like there was an attempt by Parks to plant grass, but not,
oh,
once in a,
that was me, Lynn.
That was that?
I planted the grass.
You did?
Yeah, that was me. It's technically an open
but
space.
it really hasn't, no, it's
It
just a
was-
muddy mess.
It was not. It could have gone better for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be reseeding that again. So, yeah, and then those trees also failed because they don't have irrigation. So that's another spot we have to hand water trees. And
Okay.
it's a good spot to replant them, but it's just another spot we have to
Hand
you know,
water.
pull up and stop and
Well, then there's, okay, which is Berthoud land and which is HOA land?
yeah.
Is the
That's
sidewalk the dividing line or isn't it? And it seems like it's not really quite like,
it's a weird one. It basically like everything inside the sidewalk there is Berthoud.
okay.
Yeah. So really, yeah, there's like this parcel right here and
Yeah,
some right next to this house. But yeah, like everything inside.
okay.
Well, and then like I think from like here over, you know, it's all just turf and a couple trees. But like
Yeah.
everything from like this road over
Okay.
is town of Berthoud as well.
Oh, okay.
And then the playground, this is before the playground and everything.
Mhm.
The playground is real nice and it's got, there's turf around, but there's this spot right around the playground that, you know, whose is that, yeah?
Yeah,
And it's
that,
not, who's gonna do something with it?
it got handed over to the town before, you know, the developer was done with it,
Right.
and so like it got handed over, and obviously it was not done, but the plan was that it was gonna be ornamental beds around that,
Okay.
and I don't know, I haven't heard anything on that, but yeah, it's just looking kind
So
of,
is that Parks or is that the HOA?
that's on the town to
Oh.
follow up on getting.
Cause
it
I
planted.
understood that the playground was the HOA.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I'd understood too also.
It was a weird thing where like the town did wanna take it, they didn't wanna take it, and then I think they just were like, okay, fine, we'll take it, and they took
Oh.
it as is, like at that very moment. And so the, you know, the playground was there, the landscaping was not done, And so,
Okay.
yeah, we're still kind of like piecing this puzzle
Piecing it together.
Okay.
So the town has a square foot of land here, the HOA has a square foot of,
Something
it's like my square inch of land up in Alaska that I got when I was a kid.
Yelp. But yeah, otherwise, just winding down. My guys are watering still tons. We still have not seen rain since like July, I swear. And yeah.
Well, it rained down in parts of Longmont this morning, and I guess when we get, and then it was dry, and then we got to our backyard, and there was a little bit of puddle in the alleyway.
Not even
No,
enough to do
not
anything.
much.
It just evaporated on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. We need good rain.
good, yeah. We were supposed to get it over the weekend, but we didn't.
Anything else?
That is it.
Okay. You had asked for next meeting items.
Yeah, hit me.
At the folks at the event decided that we need to discuss getting some things like a wagon,
Yep.
pull all the stuff, some signage. We didn't really have any good signage.
Yep.
We'd love to have a game that really attracts people,
Uh-huh.
one of those silly games.
Okay.
More swag, some exciting swag,
Okay.
and I think that was it.
Yeah, no, this
So-
is great. I thought you were saying something else, sorry.
No, no, I just really think we need to spend the money on that if we have the money.
Yeah, also a
Because it's
better
part of our
location
outreach.
for the booth.
Hmm?
Also a better location for the booth.
I agree.
We should be with the rec center. We're not a vendor, we were with the vendors, we should
Yeah.
be with the other town services.
Yeah.
Who decides that?
That might have just been, they have like 60 booths, and I think they literally give them out sequentially as people sign up. And because I was kind of late,
When's the sign-up date?
Well, yeah,
I
Put
don't
it on
know.
your
that's why
calendar.
I'm bringing it up now, so for
Bring the-
next year we
That
can.
should be a calendar item.
Oh, so
Sign up for booth.
when we do the liquor board and approve their beer, I said, well, will you give us the tree committee and forestry committee booth, because it's the Chamber of Commerce,
Exactly.
by the front where you're selling the tickets. How's that?
Yeah, I don't see why, the vendors should stay where
Yeah.
they're at, but like, we're the
But
town, like,
That's
why
a
don't we
calendar
just?
item we should have on
Yeah.
our to-do calendar.
Yep, I wrote, just, event swag and booth upgrades.
Any other next meeting items?
Was there anything from this meeting we need to revisit? I mean, by next meeting, we might have calendars in hand,
That's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
we just,
so.
Do we wanna review the whole goal process?
Yeah, I was gonna
I think we
mention
should
that
kind
too.
of,
The goal process.
I took a lot of notes, but I'd kinda
I did
like
too.
to consolidate it better.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is more brainstorming, which
Yeah, it
was
was
helpful.
definitely.
Mhm.
I'll put
Helpful.
So
some
I'd like to have
sub-items
another
underneath
discussion.
all those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I'll have, these deadlines, and I can
Yeah.
That would be
either,
even better.
maybe I could, I don't know if it, 12 months would be useful, like each
Yeah.
month laid out and what we should hopefully have planned for by then, but, yeah, I could do the, next year's schedule with deadlines and probably plan to have, discussions for timely stuff 2 meetings in advance instead of
Right.
10 days in advance before it happens. So I'll try to think that through and where we'll fit certain discussions.
Do we really have any follow-up from Kate's presentation? Or is it
I don't know.
just sort of
Just-
food for thought? I don't know.
Yeah, food for thought, I guess.
I had a lot of questions about the one trees. I mean, my neighbor has a crabapple tree, and this year, it's like when the acorns masked.
Yeah, it's a
This
big
one is
year.
just,
Yeah.
he was picking,
Yeah.
her son-in-law was picking up gallons and gallons and gallons of crab apples. And
Yep.
I thought it would be honestly, I thought it was like a proposal for program or something here in
Yeah.
town, and it seemed more like a food for thought kind of thing.
Yeah, I think this could be really successful if she wanted to turn it into a program. I think it sounds like
I
she's
hope
trying to
she
get
talks to
buy-in.
Berthoud local, cause this would fit right in with them.
Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
In the
put a big star
arboretum
next to
area,
that.
areas in the arboretum, we, have some questions about tree lawns with some of this stuff.
Mhm.
Blackberry brambles on tree lawns.
Actually, in
Yeah.
Longmont, in the older part of town, there's a lot of vegetables that look attractive that are planted in the tree lawn.
Oh, wow,
If
we
you
got,
walk around, is it Thompson Park, that big old park? in
oh,
the
yeah,
middle?
yeah.
You walk around some of the houses there, and it actually looks nice.
Well, there's a whole industry, isn't there? Well,
Yeah. well, you
people
would
do
know.
that.
We've
turn
got several
their front
over,
yard into the edible garden type
we
thing.
got several over in Mary's farm that are using the tree lawn for their
Mhm.
raised beds. Ours are only in the backyard, but
This is one thing I thought about, where I thought she was going with it, but like, this is a house in Loveland I used to live down the street from, but they turned their whole front yard into
oh, yeah.
planter beds, and then actually the neighbor across the street
Right.
joined the same thing. And I think it's something where you can help yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, well, maybe memberships. But yeah, I mean, like they literally have like tomato plants just butting up against the sidewalk, and like you can just pick whatever. It's more herbs along the sidewalk, but yeah, I always thought that was really neat. Instead of a lawn.
You'd have to have a sign that says for owners' use only or for public use. In our case, we're giving them away to the neighbors anyway, so we wouldn't care if they ever the
Yeah.
people picked them.
Okay. Any other items for our next meeting?
I just got the booth swag. Anything else?
Just hopefully it's quick. I think it's something Hannah was saying before, but about being involved in more of the planning stages of trees and that kind of thing. In that process, do they come to you, let's say, I know those islands out on I-25 you said were before your time, but something like that, do they come to you? Do you review the plan or at least the plant list?
Yes. Yes, even for like developments,
Right.
like when a new filing goes under, they submit it to all the applicable parties that need to look at it, and I just immediately find the landscape plan. I probably should do a little more due diligence on where everything is planted, but you know, I have the pretty basic plans, but I just usually just go to the tree list, and I'm like, okay, that's good, that's good, that's good, you know, and then just say, okay, their tree varieties look good, you know, hopefully they've reviewed all the other code, that they're placed where they need to be and all that stuff. Because otherwise, you could spend hours looking at those
In an
documents.
18-inch tree line.
So, yeah, I can ask, I think it's Ann
Ann
Johnson, who does the planning commission.
Yeah,
I could ask if it'd be constructive to have a member of the tree advisory committee, maybe even present just on like, I have zero knowledge of what goes on or what they do in their, you know, meetings, but if it'd be useful to have a tree advisory committee member get invited to a planning commission meeting to add their input,
Well,
stuff like
And
that.
it was
they have
suggested
one,
that
they
we
have one at
watch-
almost every meeting.
Yeah, a plan to
Me.
review.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in?
I attend a lot of their meetings, most
Oh,
of
yeah,
their
you're
meetings.
just in
I'm
them.
not officially, I'm just there as part of the public, but,
Raise your hand.
oh, I've done that on occasion.
Yeah, vouch for larger tree right-of-ways,
Yeah, that's
the
right.
right-of-way strip.
They got one coming up on Thursday that I'm not too happy with. I haven't looked at all the details, but.
Well, that's where the diversity you could catch it at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of probably something I've let slide a bit, where the diversity rule, you know, especially these big developments, they come in and they've got like 400 trees and they only have like 7 varieties, and it's like, okay, well, that's not really meeting the biodiversity rule, but like, you know, when it comes to like, you know, similar but different varieties, it's like, is there even availability out there to, you know, get different cultivars and all that stuff? Like, are we really gonna be like twisting their leg to, you know, meet that biodiversity rule, because we're all, you know, there's like 5 trees nowadays instead of just one. But yeah, there's I could spend a lot of time reviewing those
Yeah,
construction
sure.
documents, and yeah, usually I've just streamlined it by making sure they're at least not planting anything prohibited or anything that'll be a problem.
Yeah.
I think.
Anything else?
So, sorry, next meeting, the goals, 12-month plan, and then we'll talk about swag. And then what was the other one? Randy, you just kind of brought it up, maybe? Or not Randy, sorry, Richard. thought you brought up something we could revisit next meeting. Maybe not.
The question you just had.
Planning, something about planning.
Oh, yeah, talk to the planning commission. I will talk to them.
Yeah,
Our collective minds working together.
kind of.
Yeah, find that's needed more often.
All right, I'm good.
Anything else for the good of the company?
Yeah, thanks Kathy, Randy, and Lynn for the board positions for the last year.
Yeah, and I hope we get our vacancy filled.
Yes, tell everybody you know.
We go. Adjourn.
Thanks for joining us, Amy.
7:02.
2 hours to the minute.
Thanks, Randy, for all
I
the
knew it
work
was gonna
on
be a
that
long one today.
calendar.
Yes,
I can't even
you've done just
imagine.
an incredible
I'm
job
trying to
on
remember
it.
if it wasn't,
It's really.
I don't think it was in one of
Yeah.
my science magazines, but
Beautiful.
maybe,
And next year's not
so
gonna
it
be
wouldn't
any
have been in the
work
Denver
because you've
Post.
got
But they were
pretty much-
talking,
Yeah.
I thought it was the
Yeah.
Post,
Well,
one
from
of the,
scratch. A lot of the ideas
later
are
in
in
the
there,
week.
but yeah, like
they were
these
talking about
calendars
box
here
elder bugs.
that I
And
was
they were talking
trying to
about
emulate what these
Yeah,
guys were
no,
doing.
box
it
elder
looks great
trees
with the
are
there,
native
and I
to the
think,
area.